All right, we're live. So it's the Wired crew. Blue Oolong returns for a special flashback episode. And we've got Brian, who you might recognize from the Shifter crew from the previous month. And Quiz is returning along with that crew. So we've got some cross pollination, cool stuff happening. And we've got a new player, Victor, who is brand new to Blades and Heck the Planet. So that will be quite fun. Victor, do you want to introduce your character real quick?
Yeah, I can do that.
And did you get the Pinterest board as well? I've got a Pinterest thing for the whole game that might be good at grounding you in the fiction a little bit.
Oh, kind of cool.
I'll put it in this chat here as well. There you go.
Yeah, I see it. A wealth of choices for description.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. The character is my character's handle. His alias is Locke. Name's Jackson Rossi. He's pretty much just a big masculine brute. Wears the long classic cyberpunk duster. Doesn't really care too much visibly doesn't really care too much what other people think of him when they see him. However, it probably just gets on his nerves and is just kind of a drowned out hum in the back of his head that people think all he is a big brute, but he portrays himself that way. So what do you, yeah. It's one of those, you don't have much choice on, you don't have much room to gripe when you're playing it up anyways.
Yeah. And what did you say your route was again?
My route?
Yeah.
That's what, background on the other sheet here?
Yeah, background.
Military.
And, or sorry, the other thing, the heritage.
Oh, tipper.
Tipper. Okay. So you're like a little bit older too. Well, I guess it's a
Yeah.
flashback, so you would be in the future when we see you in the next episode.
I was gonna say he may still be a little bit older then.
Oh, okay.
So not, yeah. So not like somebody who may be a bit worn by a military background.
Makes sense.
So somebody who's got some history.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's do a, let's say maybe like 10 years in the past, maybe something like that would be cool. I like the idea of seeing like the opening credits and all that for the Wired crew. Like Blue Long comes in, right? Episode 9. And I like the idea of seeing Shelter 1 in like a somewhat less finished state. Like some of the walls are still being constructed. The district, the white district, which is like each district has a color, and the white one is the corporate district where everybody, all the executives and stuff work. And it would be fun to maybe do like a infiltration thing there, maybe, hey, because like all these things are still being built, and you can leap from your comets into a building or something like that. And you, Jesse had the idea of it being a mission for Fatma, which I like a lot. So in the past, your relationship will have been good, right?
Oh yeah, I was working for him. That's yeah, totally.
What mission do people feel like doing? Like what plan? And then we'll go from there. We'll just get the fiction going based on just what people are excited about seeing in the fiction. So comets have retrieval, espionage, robbery, or sabotage. Does any of those hit a sweet spot for what people want to see?
Thinking about Fatma and kind of the way that he probably went about stuff, like I have to imagine it was, like he was often going, doing covert stuff against either other big corporations or against any regulatory body that like was trying to crack down on them in any way. So I'm imagining either sabotage or espionage. I think either of those could be interesting, or I don't know. Just
yeah, I was leaning towards espionage.
Cool.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be good for the haunt. Yeah, because you've got your infiltratiness going on.
That's perfect.
And Victor, you're down with something like that?
Sure.
Some espionage.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, it could be like a True Lies thing, right? Where after you skydive and get out of your suit stuff, you actually have like the suits on or whatever, right? To get into the location. Could be some kind of infiltration like that. Let's see. So we're doing espionage, was it? And see if I can find a Pinterest picture of some kind of cool corporate building or something like that. Still under construction. This one kind of works. The buildings around it are all messed up, so we'll just have to use our imaginations a little bit. Here's a picture of a building. It's like imagine buildings around it and the high walls separating the districts, which also, as they're being constructed, we see a whole bunch of people putting in like a bunch of different kinds of soil and stuff like that. Because in the future, 10 years later, we know that these walls are filled with soil and they're so high up that farmers and gene hackers and stuff like that actually work up there. And then these kind of like this shielded grate above them so that the sun doesn't like burn them and scorch them as they're doing their work. And these walls are broken up into different sections so that when the soil's used up, they just let it till, is it? They let it go until it's
fallow.
ready. Fallow, yeah, there you go. I always forget that word. And then they go to the next one and they continue to do work like that. There's 3 pillars of the like city of Shelter One. There's 3 corporations that basically govern all of it. There's Nourish, Safety, and Information. So they're not exactly coy. Information literally controls all of information, and it's a retro-ish future. I get in trouble a little bit about using that because it's not like we're going back to the 70s or anything like that. If you think of Blade Runner, that would be a good touchstone. There's still like phone booths with futuristic video and stuff, but there's not cell phones. Basically, the way that as a shorthand that we could work out what technology would exist and not is if it was harmful to the environment, it's now gone, right? So it's like an eco-punk vibe. And then everything else has been retrofitted with the new sort of money, which is jewels. You'll notice that instead of blades, coin, we use jewels. And jewels are sculpted sort of like skins, essentially. If you picture glass workers, how they work and shape glass until it's cooled, it's the same sort of thing. They work these skins into different shapes and sizes, from massive, huge ones that would go under buildings that power them to really small ones that go in your gun clip and power your weapon. And these things are charged similar to something called the Wind-Up Girl, if anyone's ever read it. It's literally charged with like kinetic energy, like people in something called Reform, which is basically the prison here. what they do all day is wind up these jewels. So it takes physical energy to charge these things, and all of basically Shelter One and communities outside have now gone to this mode of power in order to survive without fossil fuels and all that kind of stuff. There's still other forms of tech, like the city also has a photovoltaic painting and stuff like that, so that when the sunlight hits the buildings, they still get residual energy from that. And there's still solar panels, especially in cheaper districts. But typically, all things are powered by joules, even including your weapons. So just think of that. So yeah, 10 years before, the city is just still being constructed. The divisions between districts are a little loose because not everything is complete. And I guess we should set up a meet in the fiction between Fatma and Silver, maybe. It'll be a good little way of introducing maybe all of your characters as well, I think. So let's set up a meet in the green zone, which again, in our heads will look like still being constructed. So think of like Blade Runner Straits, except not as so heavily influenced by Asian culture. It is milieu of a whole bunch of different cultures. And when you're thinking of iconography and symbols and stuff like that, it would be very easy shorthand to make everything, since everybody has different languages, to make everything sort of icons, right? So lean heavy into that for what you're picturing in your head. And yeah, it's like damp, it's packed, and there'd be a lot more laborers in the city because it's still being constructed. So I think there isn't too much of a divide between like the classes for the different routes just yet, because probably everyone that is here, while some of them may not be considered foundation like you, are still like all helping to like bring the city together, right? And it's not even considered a mega city yet. It's still considered people like doing a good thing, building up a shelter for everybody. And we haven't got like, oh wait, the mega corporations are trying to turn this into a mega city thing yet. Because it's not complete. Maybe we're like 3 years out from that or something like that. So Silver, do you have an idea of where you would set up a meet for your contact?
That's a good question. I think it would be oh man. I think it might actually be like probably in so Joe, I got a question. Do we want to have the other characters get in on this meet as well? Is that the plan?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it'll be somewhere relatively public but kind of slightly out of the way. I'm imagining let's go full like you know, I don't know if this is, well, this is back in time. So anyway, let's have it be in a tea shop.
Okay.
I totally want that. Yeah.
The seeds of the blue oolong.
Exactly. I was going to be like, is this foreshadowing or is this like post? Anyway, yeah.
Let's name it the dregs then. Hey?
Yes. I love it.
Cool. Also, let's see. I think not all of the safety things that Shelter One has in the future have been completed. For instance, 10 years from now, when there's like a monsoon that goes through, there's the proper amount of things built in the city that drains the water, or if there's a dust storm and stuff like that, or a tornado, where you park your car, there's delineated like lines, and it actually lowers the vehicle underground, and those things are probably not yet complete. So I imagine maybe like, let's even say a some heavy weather had hit just a little bit before. Maybe it's just the beginning of one actually, because you need one cover for your mission, right? So maybe like a monsoonish thing is going through, And we get like this shot of these gondola type things, like these little boats floating down this like cyberpunkish looking New York Times Square place where this tea shop is going to be. And so I think like you all, each of you are on one of these gondolas with this person, like using that stick, right, to push you all forward to this tea shop, which might be like, it might be cool to say that it's like on stilts. Maybe as the water's rising, we see like um, a CGI shot or whatever under the water of like the stilts being straightened steel or something like that, that is going up and up like a robotic type response to the water. And as you get into the tea shop, we see we see Fatma. Do you want to describe them? I can't remember what they look like actually. We haven't seen them on screen since like the first session or something.
Yeah, and I don't even remember if we got. I don't think we got super detailed on what they look like.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why then.
Yeah. No, I think it's been kind of a real background thing to this point until Silver's eventually going to bring it up to the rest of the crew. But I don't know. Did you have any ideas on that? I really haven't thought too hard about it yet.
Yeah, let's do this picture here then. I think they're in some really expensive looking green robish looking stuff. It's very like future couture. And because they don't want to be identified because they're an executive, they have this interesting like glitter wear stuff on their face that is constantly morphing their features around. And it's probably a little disconcerting to look at, I'm assuming. And I kind of like the idea even that the stilt has raised this place so high, the dregs, that you have your tea like kind of on the gondola, like you like park the gondola and the guy like gets off and maybe even goes around to the counter and starts brewing the tea and everything. It's like a full service thing, right? He brought you here and you get the tea as well. You have some blue oolong for the first time. Just for some throwback action. And why don't why don't we take a 5-minute break actually too? Because we've been going for an hour, and then we'll come back. We'll do the rest of the meet, and then jump in media res right to doing the job. Does that sound good, everybody? Cool. Okay, so let's come back at 15. See ya. Victor, are you getting enough information?
What's that?
Are you getting enough information? Do you feel overwhelmed or anything? Blades is pretty damn complex.
Yeah, I figure it is. No, I figure I'm good with kind of catching up as things happen. So
Sure.
just hit me with options if it's something that might be kind of an overwhelming thing. It's like, oh, you could do this or you could do that, that
Sure.
kind of thing. That'll get me going.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of ways for the players to game this system. It's pretty system mastery takes quite a long time, I think. So, let's see. This is going to be the first time the camera 2 hits so the person before Fatma gets there, actually, let's say they give you the blue long T and everything. The camera pans around from the perspective of the person who was making the tea to y'all. And then why don't you describe your character to us, Victor? Like what we see on camera.
Okay. Just having a look through the Pinterest board for like long dark jackets.
Well, here, how about quiz?
There's one on there I like. So
Oh, okay. If you need more time, I can just hop to somebody else too.
uh,
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking about this. I think young Quiz is just freshly gotten their cyber clothes and cyber skin. So they may not be as fully in control of them as we see in the future. Just for little brief flashes, like the disguise might slip a little bit. But I think at the moment they're kind of looking to Silver as the person who's kind of setting this up. So I think they've actually shifted to kind of their clothing kind of looks a little bit like whatever Silver's wearing right now. And they maybe look a little more femme at the moment. And I think their hair is like got streaks of gray in their attempt to like not look as young as they really are.
Cool. Silver.
Yeah, so Silver, 10 years younger, so she's probably about 40 in this at this point, so still kind of been around for a while. We're looking at, I think for more of a social meet like this, something kind of nondescript social, but it's still dark. I mean, I think black is kind of her thing as far as colors, so I'm imagining like a really long black coat, the kind that like, it like fastens on the side, not like a center thing, and then a very kind of large encompassing collar that kind of goes up to like, lower face, and then you just see, like shaved side of head, long hair coming down that is dyed like a metallic silver.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I kind of found something that I like the looks of. So for description, it's kind of long, dark, lots of blacks, lots of matte blacks, kind of like the nut, very little reflective of anything, and then kind of the scruffy beard and hair, kind of probably with this flashback bit less scruffy than it's going to be in the future.
Cool. And do you so what age do you look like again in this flashback?
I think he probably looks a bit younger than he actually is. I think it's and it's given him a hard time over the years. People have kind of given him a tough time for being the baby in the group or the newbie or whatever, even though he's been around for years. I'm picturing probably early 30s looking, but he's in his 40s.
Gotcha. Trust me, I know that. I feel it. Oh, we're already kid. Cool. And then I think what happens is, the meeting's starting to take place because you're the other gondolas slowly, like, or maybe actually not even slowly. I think like in a conspiratorial looking scene. Even everybody else just starts leaving, right? Like, and you're the only ones docked at this place with the multiple counters where this guy can just go to each one and service people. And then as you look back and see all these people leaving, you look towards your own person pouring the tea, and they're gone as well, right? But then Fatma walks around the corner and starts tending to your own cups. And yeah, you can tell that they're a big deal just because they don't want to have that the facial recognition stuff going on. The glitter suddenly, like, not suddenly, but continually is like shifting around, right? So it presents like a masculine face and then a feminine face, and it's just shifting all of the time. And I think similarly with the voice, it like is modulating the voice, and maybe we even see the glitter like over the vocal cords too, right? That it's like constantly changing. So we kind of get like a deep throat, except not just masculine, you know. And the voice comes out and says, "I have work, Silver, if you need it."
I'm always looking for work if you've got the jewels.
This one is a little bit different. I'm going to need you, and then like looks at all of you with like eyeless glitter holes, right? um, I need you all to dig deep. There's something happening at information and safety. They're working together now, and we need to put an end to it, or it's going to be the end of people like you. And the eyes look at Silver and at Locke, but not at Quiz, implying that it's like a tipper thing, right? Quiz is, even with the hair, they're not buying it. There's a new program, and they like actually have the first kind of, maybe, I don't know how it would look younger, but it's definitely like a maybe prototype version of smart paper. So maybe the words and stuff on it is all like glitchy and shit, right? They haven't perfected the technology just yet, so it's more like a glitchy ebook looking thing instead of something perfect, right? That you would see off a monitor instead. Going right into the 80s. And I think you just see Project Tracer. And the mission, essentially, they'll lay it out as just that you need to out of Shelter 1, which will eventually become more of the White District, even further than where they are building now, is like a prefabricated building that is got like a camo. It's like I want to say like arcology looking thing, but it's got like a futuristic camo stuff going on, so that when people fly over it or go by or whatever, it's not something that they can perceive. But it is the beginnings, like just like a whole bunch of buildings all over the place. It's the beginnings of a building, just covered up, Superdome stylish. And I think they say that like when you're scanning the document as they talk, it's like scrolling for you and stuff. And they say that safety and information are coming together for a pilot program to link people with cybernetic eyes to the Sentinel Force in order to track people that contributed to climate change. They say that they're going to call them tracers. And for reasons that I won't disclose, I don't want this to happen. I need you to get in And if this information is true, extract the information and get it to me. And if it's not, I need you to I want to make sure that we hit everybody's special abilities. Brian, you have hacking, right? Your speciality. And the edge, you have one that hurts people. Silver has fuse stuff. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I need you right now. There's just a skeleton crew in this arcology. I need you to take them out, extract the data, and make it look like an accident. Does that sound like something you guys can handle?
I think Silver's looking at the two of you for like getting any. Are we getting any kind of sense whether this is something we want to do? Because I mean, Silver. I have to say, Silver right now is kind of pissed off. This is not like Silver's whole thing is, I don't care what this is about. Tell me what we need to do and pay me the money. I don't care, yeah. But yet this actually impacts her life, I guess, as a tipper. So like she's kind of pissed that this is kind of crossing personal and professional boundaries. So he's kind of looking to you two to see what you're thinking right now.
I think I probably just say that, hey, work's just work. I mean, whether it gets into our personal lives doesn't matter. Still have to do the work, get paid, move on.
I think Batma's particularly trying to fuck with Silver too, though, right? Yeah. What does Quiz think?
I mean, I think, yeah, Quiz is young and probably a little hero worshipy of Silver, so she's just, I'll back whatever your whatever your call is.
What does Silver say?
I think it's just kind of going to be a gritted, through gritted teeth thing. Like, any other details you have, give them to me. Tell me when and where. We'll get this done. And just like tries to shut down any other, like details that he's trying to give me at this point. Like, I don't want to know. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I think they're just like, that's all the information I have, but you can keep the paper. And like you see like the kind of like shit-eating grin even through the glitter, right?
Yeah. I think I might say thanks and then drop it on the ground and kind of like step on it as I turn to like, yeah, because we're like up on the dock at this point, or are we still in our gondola?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm imagining we kind of got up onto the dock or something like that, where where this tea shop is, out of there for the meeting, since everyone else kind of disappeared. And yeah, I think I drop it, step on it, turn on it, and then walk back to the gondola at this point, if he doesn't have anything more to say to me.
You probably see the sparks come off of it as you twist your foot on.
Yeah, I think that's a good...
it's cheap paper.
Yeah. And it's a good cut, I think, anyway, from the meeting, right? So from here, do people want to... We're in free play mode, right? So do people want to attempt to gather more information before we move directly to choosing the score, providing the detail, and doing the engagement roll, etc.? For, in the interest of being transparent for the engagement roll, it might be helpful for Victor to know that what I'm looking for to build the engagement roll is if this operation is particularly bold and daring, is it complex or contingent on many factors? Does the plan's details expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Or do they have particular defenses or special preparations against it? Can any friends or contacts help you, or any rivals interfering, and any other elements, which is stuff like tier, like if they're higher tier than you and stuff like that? So just bear that in mind when you're gathering information before the score like this now. You want to be trying to formulate a plan that hits those things so that you get a big engagement roll. Good outcome, basically.
Okay.
Alternatively, people game it by not doing any gather information stuff so that they end up in a shitty position right away, because when you're in a desperate position, you farm XP. That is a little bit risky, though, I will say.
All depends on how good you are at rolling with the punches.
Yeah, exactly. And this game has flashbacks anyway, and you're considered to be competent people, so you can always deal with a obstacle that you get encountered with in this mission by flashing back and dealing with it in the past even too. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
I can imagine Silver kind of reaching out to other, like military, spooks that she's kind of worked with in the past to, find out information about the, the security crew at this place, see if there's anything, that's known about it. Because you said it's kind of secretive at this point, right?
Yeah, hyper secretive. Yeah, like they're building where the city will be instead of where it is right now, right?
Right. So yeah. So I'm imagining probably some of the security people are probably picked from, frankly, people that like Silver has either worked with in the past or known military wise. It's probably like one of those weird things where it's like, yeah. So I'm imagining Silver going to like, her contact who I think, yeah, I guess do I want to say that the contact I have currently kind of in the 10 years future version is still the same?
It could be somebody else too.
Somebody else? Okay. All right. Then yeah, I can imagine her kind of going to, like an old spook buddy or something and being like, hey, put out word. Do we know who's working this thing? How many, that kind of, that kind of detail. Cause I have to imagine that information got out among that community.
Cool. So what action do you think that you're doing?
I think that could be consort, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And since it's a gather information, don't worry about your position and effect. We're just looking to see your roll result. You'll ask me a gather information question, and your detail will depend on your roll.
Okay. Rolling now. I got a 6.
Oops, I went out of the Roll20. Okay, sweet. So you get good information and can ask a follow-up question on it as well.
Yeah. I think I'm going to ask, so I've kind of got information about, the personnel or whatnot, hoping I'm basically looking for the best way in, like deployment of these people, weaknesses of the building, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the comet action thing? Let's lean into that being the vulnerability then, right? So I think the vulnerability, so you're just like, are you at a club talking to people, or where is this?
I imagine it's like back alleys, like meeting with, covertly meeting with people that I know from previous stuff.
Okay, yeah. So it's just like a montage of you meeting some people and then pointing out information and stuff like that, right? So I think, I think the way that they keep it covert, they still need to collect solar energy, and when a certain time of the day, the solar panels move so that you can drop in at a certain section from the ceiling, right? So that's your covert way in. When the panels move, it's like a, what is it, Mission Impossible 3 or 4 or whatever, right? When he tries to do that, where he has like the 1 minute or whatever to get in through the top. It's like that. Yeah, but it'll be a similar thing. I think you have more than, Mission Impossible time to do this thing, but it'll be a tight window, and they'll say that it happens like 3 times of the day, and the best time is probably when it's at like nighttime and the least amount of people are working, etc., etc. Cool. Do you have a follow-up question?
Ooh, I can ask follow-up on that.
Because you got a 6, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oof. You guys have any ideas for a good follow up question to that?
So you're checking out kind of the place they're building at. What's the reason it's built there? What's the advantageous reason it's there and not somewhere else?
Just secrecy.
Does that sound like a yeah.
Oh, like that's the question you're asking?
That's what I was asking if that sounds like a good question to I mean to Silver. Does that sound like something that
Yeah, I mean, I think anything's pretty relevant here. I mean,
we
it's
want to know? Yeah, maybe there's something advantageous beyond it just being a hidden place, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Let's see.
Any idea?
Beyond being that. Oh, let's say that it's also out of the. I think there's a specific policed region for the Sentinels, and this is outside of it. So they're sort of like they're in the equivalent of like international waters doing this, except land.
Gotcha.
So it also opens them up to being able to do a lot of different scientific badness, essentially, that they wouldn't maybe get away with in Shelter One, because the corporate council determines all oversight on that kind of stuff. And ironically, two of the people from like some of the corporate council is the ones doing this, right? Of course, because it's cyberpunk.
I was going to say because they can't do it at home, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do it at home. There's probably reason for that.
Yeah. So the what you can surmise from that, though, is that beyond the tracer program, there's probably other black op weird scientific crazy stuff going on here too, if that they need this out of jurisdiction building. But then it's also like sneaky too, because eventually the city will be built here, and then they will just by then probably be going legit or whatever out of this space, right?
Cool. Okay, so we basically then know that, like, okay, yeah, it's kind of like this little almost black site at this point. So we only have to really worry about the people that are in there that are guarding it. We're not worried about like actual authorities showing up or anything, at least at this point. Like, we know that it's relatively insulated from everything else, right?
Yeah, and it's also a side opportunity for more jewel making stuff too.
Nice.
Beyond extracting the information they wanted, there might be other stuff that nets you some more jewels. And
Cool.
I just had the thought too, it might be fun if we had it so that depending on what size score this becomes, we could always put it in your stash, right? And then say that like you had this squirreled away from this job, which might be fun. We'd have to double the score because taking it out from your stash is 2 for 1, but it'd still be a fun thing to do. Cool. So does anyone else have any other scenes that they have in mind? Especially keep in mind with your like contacts and stuff like that, right? Getting better equipment gives you more effect on the job. They're definitely a higher tier than you guys. I'd say you're probably going up against like a tier 2 installation, we'll say, because it's pretty skeleton crewish. During the day, it'd be like a tier 3 thing, tier 2 for now. So the better find equipment that you get, the better effect that you get.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of my rival in the future being my current friend.
Oh,
Ebba.
I love that. I love
Ebba,
that.
and Ebba is a member of the cryptographers, so I can imagine him having some tech that would help us.
The cryptographers literally provide all encryption for every place in Shelter One in the future. So right now they might just be like developing the algorithm or something like that. So maybe they give you like a Commodore 83 looking thing that can hack encryptions or some shit, right? Because it's like, technology is like that. Maybe not that big, but something like 80s and blocky looking or something like that, right? You don't have to carry around a console though. So are you trying to acquire an asset?
Sure.
We'll just say we'll use the wired crew sheet, but you'll have this ability from the comments and the fictional positioning from the comments. So you're tier 1 still, right? Yeah.
I don't have the crew sheet open. Okay. And I guess I get 1 bonus die because I'm using my contact, right?
Yes. And you're rolling tier, 2. So 4 is, let me see. I think that's just tier, right? Let me check.
I think so, yeah.
I think 6 is tier +1, so yeah, it should be just tier. So you get a same tier as you, unless you want to spend some moolah to get +1, and then you'll have the same gear as them at tier 2.
Seems like a good idea. Am I taking this off the wired crew, or I guess I can just pay for it myself?
It's up to you.
Yeah. You can take it out of the crew. That's fine.
Okay, somehow a hand from the past.
Yeah.
Rubs.
We don't need to worry about that.
It's all, yeah.
Yeah. What about Locke? Do you have a scene in mind?
Seeing how Locke seems to operate, it's probably a good idea to. And I'm thinking at this point, it's probably. Well, you know what? First time I'm in the game, so Lily is a good friend at this point. I mean, it's probably a good idea to see Lily about gear that may come in handy.
Okay.
The brute force kind, yeah.
You're acquiring an asset as well, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you're going to be doing the same thing. You just roll your tier on the crew sheet, and we'll say, let's see.
So where do I do that? That's
so if you go to the crew sheet and open it up, the tier where it says tier, it's actually a button that you can click. And you're doing this with a friend as well, so same thing.
I just can't find it on there.
It is. Okay. Gotta reload Roll20. It's being weird.
Yeah, it's right kind of like under the name of the so it says Blades of the Dark crew sheet. You're there on the upper left. You see that? And then you got the couple of lines of stuff written in, and then the bottom line there is layer. And then if you look below that, there's rep, hold, and tier. And if you click on the word tier, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Okay. I see it. Yeah.
And it'll ask you if you have bonus dice, and you have 1 bonus die because you're doing this with a friend.
Okay.
So similar thing. You can spend another 1 to get better gear, which would be equivalent to what they have on site, which would put you on equal footing, essentially.
Okay. So how do these results kind of measure out? How is that like?
So in the game, you'll, depending on what action you do in the game, you'll be giving a position, a desperate action, a controlled action, or a risky action. Okay. And you'll also be getting from your result some effect, which can be limited, standard, or great, and sometimes even extreme. And by getting better, acquiring better assets, you're getting more effect. So right now, if you were to use the same weaponry that you have now and go up against a crew that's better than you, you'll have limited effect. But if you go in with at the same tier as them, you'll have standard effect because you're equalizing that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I meant more like the die results. How's that shake out?
Oh, so
because I rolled a 2 and a 4.
Yeah, so you always take the highest die unless you don't have a die in the specific skill. Then you take the lowest die, and you got a 4, which is a mid result. 4 and 5 is mid. 6 is a complete success, and 1, 2, 3 is a fail.
Okay.
So
cool.
if you and since you got a 4, which is a mid result, you acquired assets equal to your tier. But if you spend a jewel with this action, you can bump that up to a tier +1, which would be equal footing with them.
Okay.
So it costs you more money to get the good stuff, basically.
Now, how do I start out with, or what do I start out with in the way of funds then? Or
I could just give you one if you want to use one that I've got. That's totally fine. I mean, I think Silver would be helping to bankroll this probably. She's been doing it for a while. So if you want, you can just spend one of mine. That's totally cool.
Yeah, because it would be good for us to kind of be on par with them if we're going in and hit something bad. So
yeah, Silver would be totally into that. So yes, I'll just I'll tick one off of my character sheet. That's fine.
Okay.
Cool. And then, so in terms of the scene, Victor, do you see it as sort of like a John Wick 2 thing where you like go to buy a suit, but it's like all these guns and shit? Or what is it? Where is Lily and where's she at? What's her business look like?
I was gonna say I'm not familiar with John Wick.
Oh, really? In John Wick 2, this is where like the crafter of fine arms kind of comes from. Basically,
what I'm thinking is like oh, and I can't think of the name of it. The series that was on Netflix recently.
was it Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Altered Carbon?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they go out to get the weapon, or the weapons.
Oh, like the guy in the back alley type thing?
Yeah, the guy in the back alley who happens to have the room behind the back alley who has like all the weird stuff.
Yeah, he like opens up a slot that looks like the wall of the back alley, but it's all these guns and stuff like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Cool, yeah. So you're like trying out some of the weapons, and then once you let Lily know that you have like an extra jewel, which abstracted is quite a lot of like it's some good moolah, right? It's not just like $1 or whatever.
Okay.
It's a lot of money. And so that's when maybe she walks over and opens the back alley secret, the good tier of weapons.
The good
right?
stuff. Yeah.
That's where the like H and K, like the Harman Kardons and the Sun Jets and all that kind of stuff is, right? The better weapons that you get, and you just like sling them. Maybe she puts a bunch of them into the duffel bag, and we see like walk off, right?
Yep.
Cool. I like it. Yeah, the John Wick 2 one is like it's like he goes to buy a suit or whatever, but then suddenly the guy like flips all like the tie rack and the shirts and stuff like that, and there's all these weapons and shit.
Oh, the hidden side of the racks. Okay.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I need to watch those at some point.
Yeah. Cool. So is everybody good at preparations? Yeah.
So what we basically bought was potential within a defined parameter.
Definitely.
So I've got a weapon of some sort, and that's going to come up when it needs to come up, and we describe it and mess with it then.
Exactly. Yeah. Essentially, you can think of it as you have fine items, which is higher quality. And yeah, it all exists in a state of potential. Even when you acquire an asset, we try not to shed too much light on the fiction of what it actually is, because we might need to modify what it actually is in the future fiction when you actually need to use the thing. So
cool.
Yeah. Cool. So what kind of plan? It's an what kind of plan do people want to do? It's an espionage mission, but we have an assault plan, a deception plan, a stealth plan, an act of God one, a social connection, or a transport. And like John Harper always says, the best way to choose is just to choose the funnest one, which is somewhat true and somewhat not. You kind of want to choose one that like plays to your skills as well. But yeah, so basically, do people want to go in and just wipe everybody out, or do you want to deceive them, or do you want to stealth in, right? And they never know that you're there ever. You just get in, get out. Or an important note too is these plans can change on the fly while you're doing them. So all we're doing right now is defining the in media res scene that we open on, and then
We're
from
defining
there,
an intent.
yeah. So from there, it could turn into an assault plan, or it could turn into a different plan. All we're concerned about is setting up the opening scene right now. So what do people think?
Okay. I think if the plan is to kind of come from above, possibly even during a storm, right? An act of God.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that being a stealth entry and at least kind of starting out stealth. Does that like? I
That's
think
the way
that
it sounded.
I think that makes the most sense with the fiction we've kind of established.
Yeah, because stealth, the detail that you need to provide is the entry point, and you've already got that, right? You'll go in when the solar panels move, and it creates a space, an opening for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Cool. Then from there, we build the engagement role. Score. Yeah, point of infiltration. Got it. So you start out with 1 die for sheer luck, because y'all scoundrels. And is this operation particularly bold or daring? What do people think?
Diving in through a storm to try and take out some dudes, in like a massive corporate weird thing. Yeah, I think that counts.
I believe so as well. So 2 dice. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Doesn't appear to be.
No.
Yeah.
It seems like a break in
Yeah, you're not like
and,
there's not like something you have to do before to make this happen or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just boom, like we're literally going the fastest way in, right?
coming in the window and planning on leaving the same way if we
Yeah.
can.
Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? The storm does, right? You're hitting them during an act of God. So yes. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I will say no, because of the like this is in the context of the infiltration point, so no. Are they well guarded and stuff? Yeah, but that doesn't help them against you guys getting in. So, can any of your friends or contacts provide aid?
Now you're talking aid with the direct action of getting in.
Yes, within the context of getting in via stealth by this infiltration port.
I would say probably not from my end.
Now, is there a comment one that you might have that would help you?
That's a good point. I don't know if we actually...
We should look at the comment sheet.
Yeah.
Could be the engineer.
Yeah, it could be, right, because helping us. I don't know how we'd use that, but.
Or yeah, I don't know. I think we might have got the dice out of the fiction already on that one.
Yeah, that's fair.
And because they're a higher tier than you, it's 1 less die. So you get 2 dice, and we're looking for the highest. And Victor, from a mechanical standpoint, the fail of this state, like 1 to 3, if you roll, is a desperate position that you end up in, which also makes it so that you get XP in the following action. Otherwise, it's just a risky situation, which is kind of like the default situation. It'd be, and then control position just means that you're like on it.
Cool.
So Do you want to do engagement, one of you? Roll it on the crew sheet. Jesse?
I can get that going. Yeah, is there a... I guess I never remember. Is there an actual... Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
Found
there's a button, yeah.
All right, and we're in 2 dice.
2 dice.
Keep your fingers crossed, folks. 6.
Nice. And a 1. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're lucky. It would have been either the worst, but you got the best. So control position, sweet. So I think you're... Well, I would actually have a picture of possibly what this could look like. People like it. Maybe it doesn't say Nissan on it, but maybe you're up on one of these things if people like the look of it. Yeah. So it's kind of like a VTOL thing. And I think there's probably 4 of those engines, right? So there's 2 on the left side, 2 on the other side, and enough for just like a couple people, right? And again, I think this will be like a prototype version of what comets look like in the future there. So right now it looks kind of like a lighter version of it, whereas in the future I picture more of a Elysium looking one, right? With like, it looks a lot more sturdy and militaristic and militant and stuff like that, whereas this one kind of looks like
a lot more edge to it.
Yeah, whereas this one is more like a pleasure craft-ish looking thing that's been retrofitted maybe. And there's probably some scrapes along the side and stuff. Do you guys have a name for it? Name for your ship? That the camera would see on the side of it?
Where would we maybe have gotten it? I'm thinking maybe we got it off of some news organization that we had to deal with at some point.
Sure.
And it just says camera 1 all of a sudden. Like,
Nice.
We didn't change anything. We just left it as is.
Cool. So it might even be advantageous in some
It could
Some
lend to
situations, yeah.
being a little more stealthy if needed in certain situations.
It says Goodyear.
yeah, sponsored. Nice. Cool. So yeah, I think we get like a shot of this, like we get a aerial shot of this place that looks like domish, that we see like the solar panels shifting, right? Maybe one of them does the whatchamacallit, the J.J. Abrams patented solar flare action on the camera, because gotta have some solar flare. And when that happens, it's sort of like your signal or whatever, right? Your like opportunity to hit it. And yeah, so we get like a shot of you bursting across the sky towards it, and then like a couple of you jumping through. And what kind of act of God do you guys think that you're going through? Is it like a tsunami? Is it like a sandstorm? Is it a tornado? Tornado would be tough. Yeah, any ideas for a cool visual for what you're actually like going through as you're tumbling through?
So you're talking with the
It's just like a natural disaster essentially that you're going through. Oh, also, does that give you a bonus to your engagement roll, that comment ability, Jesse?
Yeah, it does actually, but
So
I mean,
maybe,
we did get a 6.
Oh, you didn't get one?
Well, we did get we got a 6 on the engagement roll. Oh, but it could have crit us, right?
Yeah, you could crit. Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
You want me to just roll 1d6 real quick?
Yeah, let's make sure.
5.
Oh, so close.
So close.
Yeah, because a crit is really powerful in an engagement roll. It actually makes you go through the initial first obstacle, even. So it's worth double checking. That's for sure.
I was thinking kind of like those super storms, but kind of amp it up a little bit. It's not just rain and lightning and all that crap. It's sleet and almost hail, kind of
Yeah.
real nasty stuff.
Yeah. So maybe before you jump out, even you see like the audience knows that it's something like this because on the windshield of it, whoever is piloting before you hit like the autopilot, there's like a shear, like a break, right, as the hail careens off of the glass, and there's like
And
like a
it sounds
scratch.
like bullets hitting the surface.
Yeah, and that's when you get out. Sweet. Um, Sweet. So I think, what does that move particularly say? Because I think getting through the storm might
Uh,
be the
Natural element. It says when you dive into a location with the cover of an act of God, take +1d to your engagement roll and -1 heat for the score, and that's all it says.
Nice. Sweet. Okay. So you're in a controlled position when you get out, though. So I think. Mm,
Also, everybody pick your load, which
oh yeah, I
probably should
always
be
forget.
heavy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is like essentially gonna like land, and then if somebody sees you, be like, "Whoa, I meant to be here." I'm
So we're
looking
saying
prim.
heavy's probably the good idea.
Probably. Yeah. Like you're not really concerned about passing as like a normal
Right,
individual,
right.
right? So might as well just
And
have all the
anybody who
potential.
sees us really shouldn't be seeing us anyway, so
Yeah.
we're going to
And
deal with them.
they're guarding the place too, so they're not probably going to give you the opportunity anyway.
Okay.
So, but you end up in a controlled position mechanically, which is good. So I think you jump out. Do we see that like trail of smoke thing too? As you like fall down, how do you guys like coordinate with each other to get to hit the spot that you need to hit? What's the action? It sounds like a group action. Ps.
Yeah.
So for the benefit of Victor, when you're doing teamwork in this game, you can assist somebody else, you can lead a group action, or you can face the resistance die for somebody else, which is called protect somebody, face danger for somebody else, or you can set up somebody's action, which is one of the ways in which if you were trying to combat somebody who is much higher tier than you and you just would have no effect otherwise, you would be able to do a setup action and then get better position and effect from it and start doing it. It sounds like since everybody's like jumping and trying to hit a particular spot in through this hole in the defenses, though, the good idea of a group action is everybody is rolling the same stat, and then you're taking the highest die no matter what anybody else rolls. So
So
that's
we're
the
doing a coordinated kind of thing is
exactly,
the
yeah.
implication. Okay.
Yeah. So how do you think you guys coordinate? Is it just like technology in your suits and stuff, or what? Is there like a bullseye in your helmet? It's like go there.
Well, I was going to say we probably have something like that, but the ship itself is kind of keeping that because it's got better sensors or whatever. It's keeping that target updated for us.
Right.
I can go ahead and I guess this would maybe be a ghost, and I could lead it. I'm going to go ahead and have my fine multi-spectrum lenses on,
Oh, you
and
would.
because I always do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can be like relaying the data to you guys to course correct and whatnot to hit the target.
Cool. I like it. And you think it's a ghost, so yeah, you're in a control position mechanically, and then you have fine items, so I'll give you better effect. And so instead of normal, you're getting a great effect, controlled great. So everybody's gonna roll ghosts with controlled great. And if anybody wants to push themselves, which is take 2 stress on your track, you can give yourself a bonus die in that stat to help you.
So which stat is this?
In the blade sheet, it would be prowl.
Okay. And I've got, since I've got the 1 dot, I've got 1 die. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you push yourself, you can add 2 stress to your track, and then when it says bonus dice, you can add 1, and then you'll be rolling with 2. And basically what happens is if anybody fails this roll, including the person who is leading the action, they take more stress, but we take the highest result. So if anybody gets a 6 at all, it's good for everybody because everybody gets that result.
Okay. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and take the 2 stress and do that too.
Cool.
And are we using the wired crew abilities, or are we gonna?
Yeah.
Because I guess the wired crew has synchronized.
Oh, there you go. Sweet.
Okay, so I'm getting some questions. I'm not sure. So I hit prowl.
Yeah.
Position is controlled.
Yeah. Effect is great.
Effect is great. Okay.
And then 1 extra die because you took that stress.
1 extra die. Boy.
Not
Wow.
the best. So
Ouch.
you're stressing quiz out. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
So I
I got a 4 at least.
So I got a 4.
Yeah, so you take 2 stress because you stressed yourself out. And then silver, so you lead essentially because you've got the highest die. How do these 2 people stress you out as you guys like
All
hit
right.
the target?
So so is it for how do they stress me out in the air, or when we're like coming down, or when we're like landing?
When you're coming down, let's say, well, here first, I'll give you the scene and I'll give you the consequence. So you rolled a mid result for a 5. On a controlled, it's not too bad. It's you hesitate, withdraw, and try a different approach, or else do it with a minor consequence. A minor complication occurs. You have reduced effect. You suffer lesser harm, or you end up in a risky position. So what I'm going to say is, I think you guys are bombing hard towards this thing. You all hit your shoots at the right amount of time. I think just to make it look cooler, it's going to be like 3 seconds or something till you punch the hole, right? So it like just alleviates your inertia, and then you land all like coolly in this room. But I think the complication is one of the shoots probably looks like locks because they rolled a 1 or 2. Yeah. One of the shoots, it doesn't like retract into your suit really quickly after it's stopped your inertia. It actually like pops out, and it's not supposed to do that. And I think what happens is it pops out and it covers the one of the solar panels. And I'm going to start a clock, which is the security notices.
So maybe they'll eventually notice that they're not getting the power that they should be getting out of that panel or something like that.
Yeah, or it'll try to like move and it'll get caught up
and
or
it's
something like that.
Or whatever.
Yeah, some panel is blinking red that shouldn't be, and it's a little bit more.
I'm picturing those panels are kind of that inverse iris thing. They come up and they open, and then they do that sweep with a bunch of blades out to a big round thing. So it's probably stuck in those blades or something.
Exactly. And so just so you know, you can, this is a consequence, so you can resist it. So you always get to know what the consequence is first before you resist it, of course. And then you would tell me how you resist it, and then we go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you can accept it and we just move forward in the fiction, or you can be like, no, that doesn't happen actually, and here's how I make that not happen.
I don't think it would happen. As we're coming in, I noticed that the chute that's supposed to slow me is not fastened right. So I get a little bit of slowdown from it, but I abandon it earlier than I should. That way it flies off over past this thing, but I'm coming in at faster speed.
Perfect. I love it. So that probably sounds like, What do people think? Maybe insight? Like is this like a knowledgeable thing, or is this like a finesse thing where you're doing it so like you notice it and the actual problem with it is that you need to do it quickly? Or is the problem insight in that like you notice it and then you do it?
I think it's I notice the problem.
Okay.
I notice,
So,
I assess how bad it's going to be if I sit on this problem more than a second, and then I deal with it.
cool. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to click the insight button on your sheet.
Okay.
And it will do the rest.
Okay.
It'll ask
No
you,
bonus dice.
not unless you're pushing yourself to
Gotcha.
get more
Okay.
resistance.
Okay.
So you got 5, and so you only take 1 stress, and then I delete that clock because it
Okay.
never happens.
So I took stress at the beginning because of the earlier roll. This is going to be a third on top of that.
Oh, you did push yourself?
Earlier when we were
Earlier.
coming out, when I rolled my 1 and my 2, I had pushed myself there.
Yeah, so you're at 3 stress now.
Okay. That's what I kind of figured it would be. This is the dealing with the fallout of that, basically.
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
you took an additional stress to get rid of that consequence. So we sort of like in the fiction retcon it. It doesn't happen, and we just see the thing blow off instead of it getting tangled up and stuff. And you guys all land in like a room with like all these turbines going. It's all dark and stuff like that. I think it's sort of got like a catwalk-ish construction for the base of it. Like it's not actually a catwalk, but that the metal grating and stuff at the bottom, it's like a control room-ish thing, like a utility room. And it is the ventilation for everywhere as well. So we get like this shot of you guys in the darkness with a little bit of light catching you, and then like the fans turning on your suit's armor and stuff like that, right? So where to next? Is it just trying to get to the actual server rooms or whatever? Ooh, actually, the engineer might have actually been able to help you out because they would have been able to probably give you the plans of this kind of construction and stuff, right? So instead of getting the bonus for the engagement, we'll just say that you have that then, so we don't kind of cheat you out of it. So let's say that you have. I won't say that it's like the actual perfect layout of this place, but based on engineering and where the solar panels are and stuff, you can surmise the general layout of it. He's like, probably this is where the ventilation is. This is probably where the computers and stuff are because it's the hottest part of the place and it's soaking up the most amount of heat, yada, 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 right? So what's the plan?
Let's see. I imagine like so are there? We don't see any personnel in this room or anything at this point. Okay.
No, and it would be a weird. Like I don't think they would even patrol this room, basically.
Yeah. So I imagine this kind of being like a quick like look at like a little screen, you know, on wrist, and we're kind of like crowding around it. We're like, you know, double checking, you know, schematics, and then, you know, Silver might, you know, give a couple of like quick hand signals about like quiet and follow me this direction, and then we start to infiltrate, I think.
Right. So the real question is though, so the mission is to take everybody out and like make it look like an accident and extract the data. So are people separating, or are people all going to extract the data and then all going to kill people, all, you know, etc.?
Here's what I'm thinking. So somebody's going to go extract the data, but we're in this ventilation unit thing. I'm thinking this can go up in smoke.
Oh,
it could be an accident. Something happened in here that blew the place.
Perfect. So let's see. Are you sabotaging this place? Are you wrecking it? Cool. And are you using demolition tools, subterfuge supplies? What do you think? What is it that you have that's going to do this? Is it like just plastique or something, or what?
I think it's probably not physical explosive, but like a mini EMT thing. So I find whatever the control console is and get it set up to go off, and then have to get out of range before it goes off, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's gonna
So
cut the power.
once the console's gone, it's gonna just run out of control on its own and just.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So the way that it looks like a mistake is that like the RPMs just slowly start increasing
creeping
forever.
up, and that, yeah.
Okay, so probably subterfuge supplies is what you're using. Does that sound correct?
Sure.
So if you want to just mark that on your sheet, you've used that. So for your,
Gotcha.
for your heavy
Okay.
load,
I see it
5
on there.
left.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then you'll roll rec for me. And is anybody helping in this action? Or setting him up or anything like that?
It's a good question. How much of an effect is he having? Does he need a setup to?
It's a controlled position. It'll be standard effect, I think.
Okay, then I'll just assist.
Okay. So, Victor, when you're helping somebody, you just describe how you help. They take 1 stress, and then you get an extra effect or an extra die. It's up to you. So, yeah, if you click on rec, you'll put in controlled position. Effect is standard unless you're using the help to get a great effect or an extra die in it. And then you'd put 1 bonus die instead.
Extra die is probably a little more.
Sure. So controlled standard effect and an extra, just a bonus die.
Okay.
And you got a crit. So,
wow. Okay.
Which means that you get more effect anyway. So it was a good call. So
pretty good for me.
Yeah, let's see. I like to make a big deal of crits. So what like bonus effect do you think would be fun in the fiction that you can think of, if anything? What would you want?
I think because we kind of have to come back through here to get back out. In our method of getting to this location to set this thing off, we end up having to deal with some guards that were coming through. So we're removing some future opposition. You know what I mean? So removing somebody who could have been here. So I'm thinking.
Like when it does overdo it or whatever.
So as we're going to find this, and yeah. So maybe when this thing starts going out of control, we're gonna have somebody come down here to deal with it. Well, we happen to catch them while they were down here and dealt with them, and they ended up in the machinery down below.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. We'll just say that will be like a coincidental thing. I don't think it needs to be something that you need to come back to deal with. I think this is just something that happens in the future when this technician or person or whatever sees it, and
so
they just
basically we've got a setup for our escape on our way back through this area.
Sure. Sounds good.
That's it.
Cool. And then what quiz or silver? What's the next action? Are people splitting up? Are you going for the data quiz?
I don't love the idea of splitting up, but I'm definitely going for the data.
Yeah, and if he's going, I'll go along to help with the silent movement and dealing with guys if we happen to come across any opposition.
Okay, so here's a question: since they wanted you to take out people, are you still being stealthy about it?
So I guess I need to clarify something in my brain. So we've kind of done. What's the overall effect that we got from messing with the machinery at this point? Like, does that's not gonna? What is that gonna do?
I think when, like, just before you guys leave or whatever like that, that'll be the sabotaging of it, right? So the making it look like an accident has been accomplished.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, will
it's
it look like an accident if we kill people and their bodies aren't burned or exploded or gotten rid of in some way? That's the only thing I'm not putting together.
This is what I was picturing from rigging this, sabotaging this equipment in here. This is equipment that's most likely to run the facility and or keep it cool. So then, with this sabotaged, you're going to get explosions everywhere. So on our way out, things are going to be blowing. So if we end up having to deal with people on the way in, they'll probably be considered blown up or damaged or whatever from the explosions on the way out.
Okay.
Right.
For anybody who comes by after the fact. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So the real question would be, do you trust the explosions to take everybody out, or do you like hunt them down and kill them and shit like that, right? Basically.
Oof.
Depends on who you run into and how angry you are at that point.
I think Silver would at least try to go with the stealthy option for now. Like if it looks like if what I see this going on and obviously got like a crit on that. So as we're all kind of assessing, okay, yeah, this is going to work. I think Silver would totally be up for quick, clean. Only engage if we have to, because all these people are dying anyway.
Right.
I mean, we may have to like set up outside and watch the thing burn, and like if anyone tries to like run out, we take care of it and
clean up,
pitch them back in.
Sure, I like that. So sounds like everybody's prowling then. Are you ghosting to one location to the next? And it sounds like the server room is the place to be.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. And the server room is probably going to be the most guarded anyway. So seems legit.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so is somebody leading the group action, or are these going to be separate prowls from everybody?
I can lead a group prowl. Why not?
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do
Give
that.
creep on and make sure that you're using any items that might help you as well.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Let's see. I've got fine camo wear, which I can imagine just kind of.
If you're leading it, that would help for sure. I'll give you more effect.
So how does this leading the action thing happen again?
So it's the same thing as the jumping out of the window.
From the jump. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. So anyone who fails stresses Silver out more, but you take the highest result again as well. So it's a good chance of success. And fictionally, we show on screen whoever is like, usually you ask like, if somebody fails, how did they stress you out kind of thing. And if somebody rolls really well, then you're like, wow, what do you do? Then is so good.
So each of us is going to end up rolling a prowl.
Yes.
And we've got that same option to burn 2 stress.
Yes.
For an extra die.
Yeah, or help somebody else for 1. And since you're taking the highest result, it's kind of like mechanically similar too.
Okay, so one's not more beneficial over the other?
Not really, unless you're the one that wants to succeed.
I already stressed myself out. I just my roll didn't go well.
I'm going to also be using my flicker wear.
Oh, epic. Okay.
And using gear ends up doing what's the roll?
It can give you more effect. You're already getting great effect though. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could get extreme, I guess.
So I've got 1 die right now. Not going for the bonus die. So if I just roll as is.
Oh, there you go. 5. So if you roll now, at least you have a success. There'll be a complication, but you have a success on the table for everybody.
And you said effect was great?
Yes.
0 there.
Yeah. So Silver takes 2 stress, but y'all creep over there. You're in a controlled position still because you guys have been rolling well and you resisted the only consequence that happened. But I think these corridors are typical like government facility, concrete looking sterile places, right? And as you're going along, the room is getting like hotter and hotter, so you know that you're going to the right place. The server farm is like inordinately very hot. And I think you see that there's 2 guards there. And Silver, I think what happens is you peer around the corner and one of the guard sees you, and there's like a red light thing, and they go to like smash it and hit the button, right?
Oh man, I could. Oh, this is interesting. What happens if I trauma out in a flashback episode?
Well, it's just an obstacle. It's always the obstacle, right? So
yeah.
I think I'll resist it.
Oh, that's a. Do we have to resist, or are you talking about we just need to do an action against that?
yeah, it would be a consequence that you're resisting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll resist it.
It's a minor complication.
Okay.
I'll resist it I think because I have the flickerware.
Oh yeah,
I'm able, and then I will go ahead and also check a ceramic blade or 2.
Ooh.
And I'll just I guess a prowess resist to just come up and mess these guys up before they can hit the alarm.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So 3 stress.
3 stress, but you're in melee combat, right? So yeah, tell me what happens. Does the knife go through his hand before you can even smash it, or what?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Cool. And
Step.
They're dressed. I know Victor's seen Altered Carbon, so they're dressed in that like black wear with the red dots right on the helmets, right? The military-looking loadout.
Yeah.
And yeah, so.
And I think like the flickerware, like that's like kind of a brief thing, right? I'm not like running around invisible.
Yeah,
I don't know what the description is.
Yeah, it's a wear that makes you somewhat invisible. It's like camo wear-ish stuff. It'd be like the Major, right? Like in Ghost in the Shell. As soon as you kind of like start doing something in it, it's like over, right?
Okay, so yeah, I think I'm like stab, and like as the invisibleness like fades away, appear to just be wearing the same like uniform they are, just for extra confusion.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Cool. So that happens. What does Locke do? The Edge.
Okay, so they're dealt with, the guards that were there.
No,
or this is dealing with them.
No, they didn't hit the button.
Yeah, I just stopped them from hitting the alarm, and
mechanically, like if we're dealing with like
help yourself. There's plenty of guard for everyone.
yeah. Okay.
Hit point wise or whatever. If you're abstracting it into D&D or whatever, they would have not been hurt at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just they didn't hit the button.
Well, then I see no reason in not trying to end them. So I will end them before we get into the room there.
Cool.
And can't have them alive behind us.
And are you leading Silver into combat? Are you doing it together? Because essentially, scale in this game to equalize, it would take both of you, right? Otherwise, you'll have limited effect. But if both of you are doing it, then you'll have standard effect.
Okay.
Unless he uses, because he's also got those weapons, the fine weapons, right, that he hasn't brought out yet, and I also have fine blades. Ooh. So those are options too.
I'll give you extreme effect if both of you go in.
Okay.
To some extent, that's like evening us up with this higher tier faction too.
Yeah, so I'll give you risky because they're guards, right? But I'll give you extreme effect if you both go in lead. And it sounds like Locke is leading the action.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So you're both going to be skirmishing, it sounds like to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Cool. So both of you roll that, and a similar thing. If either of you fail, you get stressed out more, but we take the highest result.
I see you added the fine heavy weapon. Is that my...
Yeah, I'm putting your equipment onto your sheet just so it's easier.
Good deal. Okay. I hadn't thought of that. Wasn't sure where. Okay, so I assume I'm going up there and using this fine heavy weapon that I have.
What is it? What is the fine heavy weapon?
I think, and since it's got two boxes next to it, that's a 2-unit
Two
sized
load.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a bigger than the 1-unit thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be like a shotgunish thing or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
I'm thinking something that is not noisy, but shoots shards of metal at speed. Something kind of a railgun type thing, and fires them really fast. I mean, one right after the other, and just rips holes in things.
Cool.
Like a mini like rail gun or something like that kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of a for a heavy weapon, kind of a two-handed thing. Comes up out from the side of the jacket off a sling and just kind of hold it up, and it just one right after the next starts shooting these little chunks of metal.
Sweet. Okay,
Nice.
so roll it, and then Silver, what do we see you doing?
Yeah, I think it's a thing where he's setting up like with the gun and pulling that out while I'm dashing ahead. Where like I think I've described it in the other game, but I've basically got like the handles of these blades like attached to kind of the sides of my arm here. They're basically just look like a nondescript metal like chunk that I kind of grab. Ooh, can you hear me? Sorry,
Yeah.
my internet went weird. Okay, yeah, kind of grab them both from the side, and then the blades kind of extend, and they're black blades with kind of like a blue, like iridescent edge to them. You imagine, like, basically, I'm running forward as he's setting up, and then I go into like a slide low on the ground as his like bullets start shooting over my head, and then I come in with the blades right after the bullets connect. Hopefully, if things work out.
Yeah, sweet.
So position is controlled.
Risky.
Risky.
Yeah.
That was risky. Okay.
And then effect is great.
Oops.
Okay. And using the weapon, does that give me?
That's with the great.
That gives me the great.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Cool.
1 and 4.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh,
Snake eyes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no crit fails, so instead you just stress yourself out. Maybe it's that hailstorm of bullets above you.
Yeah, right above you, right above your head.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're in a risky position. Harm is definitely on the table.
So how does the fallout for this
A complication, reduce effect, suffer harm. Yeah. So I think what happens is you go into a slide, the hailstorm of bullets pulverizes the guy that like had his hand already like fucked up. But as Silver sort of like pirouettes and goes to slice into the other guard, I think you find like a gun straight at your chest, right? And they just like pull the trigger, maybe not on your chest and your shoulder. And it's the force of it does the like action twirl, right? As you like careen to the ground and you take, it's a risky situation. So it'll be nice to harm.
Cool. And then I want to resist that, and I have a move that lets me use my special armor to resist the consequences from detection or security measures. I have to imagine these guys are security measures, right?
Yes.
Cool. Sweet. Let's do that. Oh, it says, or push yourself for a feat of athletics or stealth. Okay, let's do that. And yeah, so I want to expend my special armor to kind of like the gun comes out, and like I'm kind of just like twirling blades. I think it's just like a spin where I kind of get like inside his reach of the gun before he's able to pull the trigger. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
is that cool?
Totally. Oh yeah, totally.
All right. So yeah, I think he maybe gets the shot off, but I'm already past the barrel of the gun, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Sweet. Love it. And then like a few seconds pass, right? And then both the bodies just like fall in action movie style. Beyond you guys is like one of those I picture it sort of like the medical doors at a hospital where you can just like fling them open and then come back. And they also have like the big windows there, and you see just like a field of servers. It seems like, especially because of the lighting, picture it if you've seen Blade Runner 2049, where it's like those fields of stacks, basically. It looks like that. And there might be a couple people in there working and stuff, but there's so many of them that it would be not a problem. So
I think I immediately Silver sees this and like turns and looks at Quiz and like raises an eyebrow because I'm like, this is your thing, man.
Yeah. I think I'm pulling out my hacking gear like before we even get to the door, and ready to find a spot where I can connect and try to.
Let's say I don't. Normally, I think I'd do like give me a study to find the right place or whatever, but we're already at like 36. So let's say that you find the correct server already, and let's give me the action for actually just hacking it, right? And to be upfront, GMing, a complication is probably going to be people show up, right?
If I push myself for this, I'm gonna have like no stress left to resist anything.
Trying to think if there's any reasonable way I can assist to give you an extra die with this. So you're going to be doing hacking. Maybe I'm just like I don't. Maybe my job is just to keep people off of you and like make sure that I'm lookout to make sure no one is walking by so that you can like focus and not have to worry about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So is that cool? I'll take a stress to give you a die or whatever you want.
And can we both do something like that? Because I'll grab people coming from the other direction. And
no, you can only get one assist.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether there was a limit on that or not.
Yeah.
And
it'll be risky because you want to do it quickly so people don't show up. And you have fine hacking gear, right?
Yeah, I've got fine hacking gear and I got help in advance from Ebba.
Oh, okay. So you have the things.
yeah, we got the things. What are they called? The devil's bargains? What are they called? Ripples.
Ripple.
I had wrinkle in my head. I'm like, no, it's definitely not wrinkle.
Well, I mean, a cool ripple for the flashback is like somebody like in the future puts it together that this is like you were the one that did this job or whatever, right? And comes after you. So that in the next game, somebody's like, hi, Quiz.
Maybe this is how I pissed off Ebba, because it tracks to him and me.
I'll take that. That's fun. Sure.
Well, it can't just track to him because that's not really a consequence for me anymore. So I feel like
I don't know. Ripples are just basically used to get good things out of the fiction in the future. When I'll say codifying it is, I'll bring Ebba into the fiction, though, right? Like it won't just be Ebba's arrival; it'll be like Ebba's arrival right now.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Okay, I'll take that. Here we go. Risky. Great.
Boom, 6. Tell me what it looks like. Give me the scene.
Yeah, so I'm able to connect. Everything's pretty standard. I'm able to connect, and it's like everything's going fine. And then like the security systems that like I'm totally unfamiliar with all of a sudden show up. But then that little bit of software that Ebba gave me just melts away, and I'm like, that okay, there we go, and just download.
Nice. Maybe I even like the shot of it being like Silver's like, I got your back, right? Like this will take a while, but it's only like 2 minutes or something, and then there's like the scene where it's like, is that it, or is it over? You're like, what, you think this was the 80s?
Probably the response was, yeah, well, that took a while.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Nice.
Like,
yeah. Nice one.
Concept of time when you're talking about the speed of a computer.
Yeah. Cool. So from here, do you guys want to hunt down and kill peoples, or do we want to roll to get out? Because people are pretty stressed, right?
I know that I'm pretty high on stress at this point.
Yeah, I think I can like lead the push out, and we just out as quick as we can.
Cool. So group prowl again?
Maybe.
Is that it?
Maybe so.
What, Silver?
I was just thinking, what if, like, so we're worried about maybe people getting out. Maybe we have to do like something. Maybe we don't want to directly engage, but we can somehow seal the exits that they would be using if they were trying to get out. That way we can ensure they die. I mean, it just depends on if we want to go that in depth on making sure they're killed or not.
I mean, if Quiz wants to give me another roll to wreck the place. What?
If they didn't notice that we took anything, and when this place goes up, anybody who escapes is going to say the place blew up. We don't know why.
Right.
So maybe there won't be a connection between the two. You know what I mean? That kind of...
Right. I would say you would probably know the contact Fatma enough that they'd probably like withhold some money or something, though, if you didn't fulfill the whole thing.
Didn't give it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, makes sense.
So what do people want to do? Is it get out and then just waste people as they come out? Or I do like the idea, you're already in the server room. I like the idea of Quiz being able to program it so that like
start a lockdown or something.
Something, yeah.
That could work.
Protect our path, but start a lockdown on everything else.
Yeah, that's an interesting option.
What does Quiz think?
Yeah, sure.
And I'll give you. We'll make the. I think you'll be in. I don't know. You'll either get a better position or effect from it leaving too with your prowl roll. I think it'll. I'll give you great effect when leaving, I think, because I think it would still be risky, right? There's still people in the building and stuff like that. But fictionally, too, again, it's fulfilling the requirement that you know nobody else is going to get out. Okay. Does that sound fair? Cool. So hit me with another hack.
And I imagine, I don't know if I want it, if you want aid, I imagine that I could like pull up the schematics that we've been looking at before and like showing you the like exit points that you need to like that you need to make sure are shut down and inaccessible. So that could be a way that I could aid and give you an extra die here.
Right, to make sure no one has like a route.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking through schematics and I'm like showing you this exit, this exit, this exit, you know, this kind of thing. All these are, you know, yeah, make sure to shut these down.
Now, for any fallout, you're going to be facing stress, though, aren't you?
No, Silver's just assisting.
Okay.
What? You're talking about, yeah, for the...
Okay. Silver's just assisting. So.
Just trying to wrap my head around the stress bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with stress.
In this particular instance, I'm basically spending one stress to give him an extra die.
Yeah. Right, and if you're too close to a limit, it sounds like something that I would be able to do as well, and I've got plenty of stress available.
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
So if you don't want to push yourself, then I would rather do that.
Sure, go for it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, because it sounded like something either one of us would be able to give him a hand with, or give them a hand with.
Yes.
Do we have another ripple?
I don't know. Can anyone think of any? It's a player open thing. It doesn't have to be just the GM.
Maybe there's, I'm just thinking if there's like someone in here that we're not aware of that is also going to die because we're cutting off egress. So someone important that we're unaware of and that Fatma didn't tell us about or didn't know about.
I like that. I'll write it down.
Not sure how that. Yeah.
VIP dies.
Somebody who ends up causing you some future problems
just-
in the regular timeline.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It's like I'm rushing, and like it's like on the screen, like a name flashes by that I miss.
Yes.
Yep. I wrote it down.
As I lock the door to their office.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool. So you do it with a consequence. I don't have too much time left either. So, and it was a risky situation. I think. Ooh, yeah, I know. I think everyone's like rushing you, right? They're like, come on, let's go. And I think like, just like in what's it called, Mr. Robot, you have to like clear your directories and all that shit. And I think you didn't clear the directory. I think you left in the root like your hacker signature or something like that, because the program that you always do automatically does it for you. But on this one, you really shouldn't do that, right?
You just said the word root, and it reminded me I have the root kit, which gives me +1D in effect when I'm hacking above my chair.
Oh, okay, well, then roll another die.
Too late. Oh, okay.
No, roll another one. That's fine. Oh, that's too bad. So, yeah. You left it in there, I think.
Okay. Well, like, I don't mind things tracing back to us because that's fun for later, but we have to make this look like an accident, and that is going to totally screw that up. So I guess I will resist that. I guess insight to just catch it.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Yeah, it's smart. Oh, lucky. So, because he got a 6 Victor, he suffers no stress for it at all. Actually,
Cool.
So, and it could even be since there's flashbacks and stuff like that. There's a lot of player agency that you could use where you could even be like, I flashback and I've deleted that information off this thing, right? Stuff like that. So feel free to liberally use it however you like. But again, there's so many moving parts in this that I think most people, it takes like 5-6 sessions before they start to getting it and like enough to do system mastery, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But cool. So are you leading the prowl out then? The ghosting? To get out?
Sounds like
set up?
Yeah.
Cool. And so yeah, I imagine like on the show or whatever, then there's been like a clock, right, in all your retinas or your helmets or whatever, where it's like counting down and you need to get to this room and then go up before the solar panels shift again or whatever, right? Or is that how you guys are even getting out through the same room?
Yeah, that's how I kind of pictured it.
Cool.
Back out the same way.
Yeah, maybe you like pop out these things off of your suits, right, that fly up into the air and then they go into parachutes and then you get like sent up or something. That'd be fun.
Or it's just like the like I've seen this where it's like, yeah, it pops up and then it gets caught on, like it basically is like a little balloon that like pulls it up, but it's got a connector that our little plane thing like auto flies by and kind of like catches the line and like pulls us up and out.
And as the line feeds through, it zips us clean up the cord. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are kind of neat.
Cool. All right, let's see if you can get to the room then.
All right. So
we'll say the whole role is to get to the thing and the extract, right?
Okay.
So everybody give me a prowl, and sounds like Locke is leading it. And so if anyone fails...
If I take 2 stress, I can add a die.
Yes.
Okay.
And if other people fail, they cost you stress.
Okay.
What's
and
the
position is? Risky?
Yeah, it's a risky situation. There's still people about.
Okay.
But you get great effect because people are locked and stuff. So unless they were like walking
Now,
already in the hall.
does this also take into account the benefit or whatever from the roll on setting up that explosion at the beginning?
Hmm.
When before we went in to get the data.
Yeah, like we're because of the bonus effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put you in a controlled position then, and we'll say that it was a setup action. So controlled, great effect.
Okay.
So there's a middling, middling, middling. Cool.
It's a skin of our teeth kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna adjudicate the complication to a fortune roll because I'm gonna say that you don't have the time to like set up and take out anybody, right? And so I'm gonna leave it to a fortune roll to see if anybody in there is like smart enough to be able to like get out a different way or something like that, right? And I'll give them 2d6. Oh, they didn't. I was gonna say if they get a 6, then I'll let them get out, but they all blew up. Cool. So yeah, give me the whole scene of, you know, whatever you want to describe in the scene from getting from the server room to getting out and getting caught on this line and stuff like that. Give me the scene.
I think I'm probably kind of leading the way, and yes, I've got the timer up on the screen on at least my my mask or whatever gear as we're getting set to go. I'm double checking because on the way in I had a hard time getting, so I'm double checking the gear with the egress line that we've got, and as I'm doing that, I'm paying attention to kind of where our route is, and I'm throwing route information up on their screens, on their visors as well.
Sweet.
And kind of the "you are here" dot, follow the dot. It's like this
Right.
way and turn the corner, and everybody kind of knows it's yeah, everything's going to be chaos in that, but we're going out as quiet as we came in. You know, kind of like when we came in, it was a very hand gestures and quiet and whatever. Same way out.
Do you think some of the explosions are like already starting as we're kind of making our way out and everything? Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah. Probably alarms going off in the server room because heat at this point is going to cause damage in there. Probably first.
Right.
But yeah, explosions and things.
Sweet. And then you guys take off like Batman, basically getting snagged by the Batwing. Peace. Sweet. Okay, so definitely, I think give yourselves 3 more rep on the wired crew. We'll just count it to everything. Before you were comets, and now you're
So
wired.
that's what crew XP is. What that is.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 different kinds.
Okay.
There's it's the main crew XP, I would say.
Yeah.
But the rep that you need goes
Uh-huh.
towards increasing your tier, and then separately there's crew XP that gains towards you gaining special abilities and stuff like
Making
that.
the crew better.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I can add to the
That's
crew
cool.
sheet here. So we said 3 rep.
Yeah, 3 rep.
Cool.
And then it would be 8, a big score. And so if you're putting, let's put it, you can mark 16, I guess, in your whatchamacallits, the
Stash.
stash, yeah, because stash you have to pay 2 for 1 to get it out. So we'll just say that you like put that money away for a rainy day or something like that.
So
right?
so we're dividing up 16 is what you're saying?
Yeah, which increases your lifestyle as well, so everybody looks a lot better in the future.
Nice. I dig that. Okay. So then, all right.
And then heat.
So we're just saying 5 stash each?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So where's...
It's at the bottom. Let's see, where is it? Look. It is. Oh, see where it says coin
coin, and then
and then
stash,
stash.
with the gray boxes.
Yeah.
So you said
Each. We'll just say that everybody can fill up their line. Actually, just fill up a whole line of lifestyle. I think it's a big stash deal.
okay.
And then,
And is there a difference with the last box having a border around it?
when you click the last box, it increases your lifestyle. So essentially, you go from like rags to like a little bit up. Yeah, and then the fourth one is like you live like a rich person, basically. And essentially, some of the people play the game so that they have a full stash and then they get out, right? Like that's their savings, and then they're like, and I'm out of the underworld and now that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
And then heat doesn't. I don't think it would really make sense to give you heat, but I'm gonna think about who the VIP was it that dies, and Ebba's gonna be real.
Cool. Yeah. And it also makes sense because I mean, the crew ability for the comments that we got gives us -1 heat already for for diving into the storm and all that, and we were relatively quiet, so yeah, I can't imagine anything getting us.
And
in my gaming the system, it gives us 1 less heat too, and 1 extra rep. So
there you go.
Oh right, does that do? Yeah.
Go ahead and mark that.
Nice. Okay, I'll mark that right now. An extra rep. Sweet.
Oh. And then next session we'll do downtime stuff, and this session let's do XP real quick.
Cool.
So Brian, do you want to start with the XP triggers?
Sure. You addressed a challenge with deception or influence. I think definitely plenty of that.
Yeah, that happened.
Should we say, is that 2 for that one?
Well, the whole session.
I think so.
The whole session was deception, right?
Yeah.
So, you expressed your beliefs drives root or background. Yeah, I think the whole flashback concept is a cheat on this one, because like you can't help but see some of your background.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so.
That's why we gotta pay back those people that show up, right? We're like, should have been here.
It's kind of similar to that first session where you can't help but learn about.
Essentially, it's the first time that we see any of this, really.
Yeah. And struggled with vice or trauma. I don't think so.
Okay. Jesse?
Let's see. Yeah. You addressed a challenge with stealth or precision, and the whole freaking mission was stealth
and precision.
So, we were thinking 2 for that then.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then let's see. Expressed beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I think that. Well, I think this is background stuff with Fatma specifically, but then also kind of I think I kind of played up the I'm in this for the money, I don't care what this is about kind of deal. Like just not
breaking
wanting details. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe totally. So 2 for that, I guess. Maybe.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard with a flashback one. This is going to be all background and heritage and anyway. And then it was you struggled with issues from your vice, root, or traumas during the session. I mean, this kind of talked about root, but it didn't. I don't think I struggled with it.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think I get anything for that one. Okay.
Cool. And Victor.
Okay. Addressed the challenge with violence or intimidation. Violence, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of violence, right?
So that's what, 1 XP for that?
So it's for each item below mark XP, but you mark 2 XP if it occurred multiple times.
Okay.
So I would say 2. You blew a whole
Yeah,
place
you
up.
blew up a whole building.
That's true. Blew up a whole
Yep.
place and dealt with a few guys in the hallway.
Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Expressed beliefs, drives, heritage, background, not so much.
Nah, all of it, right? This is the first time that we've heard anything about your character on
Yeah.
the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking at it as though this is first time in the timeline. But if we're treating this as background story, then yeah. Okay.
Yeah, background story as well, but we didn't know anything about your beliefs or drives, and we know that like you'll do this for money, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Drives wise, we know that you'll kill people real
Yeah,
good.
if need be, to
Yeah.
keep the crew safe. Yeah.
And then background, everybody gets in this session because I set it up so that everybody is showing their background. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Vice or traumas? Not really.
Yeah. And then so just so you know, for the 4 XP that you got, you can put it in any of the tracks that you want. So, for instance, if you wanted to increase your hunt or something, you could dump all 4 into your insight, or
Okay.
you could put 1 into insight and put the rest into your playbook track or whatever,
And
however you
those
want
are
to divvy it
put
up.
from there into the little the markers on the insight line.
Yeah, any of those ones, you can put 1 dot in once that is full.
Okay, so I'm building up a category, and then once the category is full, then I can put 1 dot somewhere in the subcategory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or put it in your playbook advancement and work towards a special ability.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I
any of
think
that.
I think I will probably do a little perusing and deciding before next time,
Sure.
and then
Yeah,
just
that sounds
throw
good.
it in when we get started. Then.
And then Jesse, do you want to do the
Yeah. So do we want to look at you're talking about the crew experience?
yeah, I would
Do
look
we
at the
wanna do-
comment.
Yeah. Okay. I've got that pulled up. Let me see where to go. Comment. Okay. I had it on the right thing and I had to reload. There it is. Okay. I've got it. Okay. Comments. Did we execute a successful espionage, sabotage, or theft operation? And I think, heck yeah, right?
Yes.
That's
It
basically
felt
what we did.
successful.
So,
Yeah.
should I should be putting the experience on the wired crew?
Yeah. On the
Okay.
wired one, yeah.
Okay. So do we think we get 2 for that since that's what the whole session was?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's that. That rolls us over already for crew advance. All right. Did we contend with challenges above our station?
Yep. But just 1.
Cool. All right, let me put that there. Did we bolster our crew's reputation or develop a new one? I don't know if we can say that.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Yeah, I don't think that's one that we can
Yeah.
honestly answer.
Yeah.
There.
Maybe just skip that one, yeah.
Yeah. And do we express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew? I think by taking a job like this, probably we should probably 1 for that, wouldn't you think? Just the fact
Essential.
that this was this is what we do kind of deal.
Yeah, I would say 1 or 2. Yeah.
What do you guys think? 1 or 2?
Feels like 1 to me.
That's fair.
Yep.
So, sounds good. Cool. Well, I'll make a note here on the crew sheet for the wired that we've got a crew advance to deal with next time.
Cool. Awesome. I'm gonna stop the broadcast.